Hello there, fellas. Robin here. Have you ever thought of the global fish trade in disgust? Have you ever hoped for the oceans to recover from the endless hunger of coastal cities? Have you ever felt like joining Sea Shepherd and fighting for the deep waters? Well, if even one of them is true, then this isn't the game for you. If you, however, love listening to H.P. Lovecraft audiobooks while working off your debt for that greedy old trash panda Tom Nook, then this oddly specific activity has now a name to it. Welcome to Dredge. A game which lured me in with the promise to raise ancient abominations from the deep with a mere fishing pole, but continued to roast my fishing skills alongside the fish through a prime example of deep-seated aquatic racism. Starring not as fresh as his fishmonger, overworked shipwright, grumpy old lighthouse keeper, round glasses in a mansion who is in no way evil incarnate, creepy fish from Finding Nemo, and Gary from SpongeBob. With as much mutated horrors that the game can only take place near the coast of New England. Beware, because there are homeless people that need feeding, which are so picky they only accept a specific type of fish and have you steer your steamboat all over the whole map just to catch it. Hey, who said beggars can't be choosers? But they should be glad that you are bound to the sea like Davy Jones. Otherwise, there would be no guarantee on what might happen. After all, what happens on land stays on land.
Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing? You walked right through my shot, mate! Do you know who I am?
Oh, excuse me, I was just...
Besides these hobos, you should be prepared for a lot of loneliness. There is only one other boat that you can meet in the beginning, and after that, if anything moves on the water, my advice would be to run.
Can't you hear the music? That's a 4/4 string ostinato in D minor! Every sailor knows it means death!
Preferably to one of the safe havens around the map, which are only connected via boat routes, which is why you often are a sorry excuse for a taxi, occasionally playing public transport. Just don't let the passengers lay around in your cargo for too long. Fish isn't the only thing that gets old and stale over time. To store things in your boat, you will have to play a game of Lovecraftian Tetris and fit it inside your grid. But fear not, my friend, you will not have to worry about this mechanic for too long, since you will soon discover the true eldritch horror that was hidden in the game code, and therefore find the real enemy of the game, out of nowhere materializing rocks. Nevertheless, the game will keep you entertained just by surprising you with ever larger fish that you can haul in your tiny tugger, playing to your compulsive hoarding. The real problem only arises when the dirty gill breathers get a little too big to catch and your boat gets to be the bait for the big man in the sky. In combination with rock formations designed by Lucifer himself, you have a terrible choice between land and sea, both of which wanting to unalive you. A real captain, however, chooses the salt and seawater, and so it will come to be that you find yourself coming ever closer to Captain Ahab with your very own most hated fish. To defeat it, you must exploit the very uncreative hiding skills of the developers and get some gear from not so secretive spots. But due to this being early in the game and your boat having no upgrades yet, This first area quickly becomes the most difficult one in the game, and you will probably have to visit the waterfall 3 times in a row, since that damn Cyclops eel just can't get enough of you, like that crocodile that was after Captain Hook. Fortunately, you have a forbidden power on your side to shift time and space, eldritch incantations to bend reality to your will. And so, you press the reload button until you can finally beat the area, with the help of a little bit of blast fishing. At this stage in the game, you will feel like you have earned your stripes and that nothing can surprise you anymore. So I ordered the Abomination Pizza with extra fish
sir, are fish.
and began listening to the Shadows over Innsmouth audiobook
Zu viele wilde Predigten beim Sonntag.
to get into the mood a bit more. But then the game started to play dirty, and the fish began baiting me. As you all are nothing more than single-minded loot goblins just like myself, some wreckages being empty will really hurt your feelings. So I decided to leave Innsmouth and unwillingly entered Jaws. A couple bowls of shark fin soup later,
Just behind me, there's the oldest stew in the entire world.
I was back on track, diminishing the local fish population and crashing into walls. Luckily, you will find some of the offsprings of these rocky gremlins that are making your life hard, and you can toss them over to the old fishmonger. At some point, you discover that it is not the sea that is your biggest enemy, but the infinite onslaught of never-ending fetch quests. An unprompted dialogue will pop up in your face once in a while, when you need it the most. And the good old Lightkeeper will get you right into the story again. So I pimped out my ride and pushed onward. Maybe your faith will even be restored enough to deal with the fish junkies again, who are unable to fish for themselves, completely turning themselves over to the service industry. Mutants will come in handy as you are trying to re-establish your fishing business, as sometimes they can be catched pre-cut, like the pizza you order from your favorite Italian. I even made my peace with the stone people and sold them in large quantities. All of it will be worth it though, as you will find a four-legged friend. For a short while, however, the game was standing on thin ice, until I could confirm the existence of a pet the dog option. Unfortunately, the doggo made me forget about fishing for a while again. Yet it wouldn't be for long, as I found an escapee from Lucasfilm. The Sarlacc had seemingly fled from set.
These are my kids.
And
Sell
you
them
sold
off.
them.
I sold them to the white slavers that take these things and
Okay, but
The way it behaved, it seemed that they had forgotten to feed it since after the Disney takeover. But if you thought that a Sarlacc would be the biggest roadblock in building a multi-penny fishing startup, then you are sorely mistaken. Since you will lose countless minutes of valuable lifetime by having to switch to a different menu for every little thing you want to do at the trade station. The trader must be paid by the hour. Hashtag Abyssal Nightmare. At least the ghost ship pirates were friendly enough not to mug me, seeing how mentally crushed I already was, making the insanity eye at the top of the screen a harmless parody of my real twitching and nerve-wracked eyeball. Despite it all, the world displayed a breathtaking scenic beauty, proven by my buddy Whale Shark over here. We hang out together and chillax a while, and let me tell you, that mouth of his makes it necessary to bring a couple of extra snacks. To continue fishing safely, I came up with the perfect idea for getting rid of Jabba's pet. A trick you can easily copy. Just broadcast the first season of The Book of Boba Fett to scare the Sarlacc away,
Like a panther.
as it hides itself in fear of ever seeing that definition of agony again. You can clear out your assignments in the radioactive light resort. I could not, however, dredge the nuclear waste I suspected at the bottom of this basin, which probably caused all the colorful lights around here. Do not forget, children, we have lost atomic bombs in the ocean. Go get yourself a scuba diving suit and you too can become a respected global superpower. As I finished up my business there, I found something that I sorely lacked in real life and went on with it. Oh, hell no! Since you and the sea will be locked in a constant arms race, pun fully intended, with the water always gearing up, you will want to stock up too. And the totally not the definition of an evil H.P. Lovecraft cultist collector is happy to extend his hand in assistance. He will help you in summoning Cthulhu. Well, he never clearly stated that out loud, but I read between the lines. If you find yourself in doubt, just cruise around and ask the last happy customer who just caught a bad case of Lovecraft, fully unrelated to any services the cultist collector provided.
It's beginning to look a lot like Fishmen everywhere I go. From the minute I got to town and started to look around, I thought these ill-bred people's gill slits showed. I'm beginning to hear a lot of fishmen right outside my door.
If you still have doubts, then do something for your soul and help the stoner turtle in Finding Nemo. Just don't sell him if you do find a clownfish. For the really big fishies, you should always prepare the best equipment possible. I, for one, prefer live hooks. Besides, these things just look good. I mean, look at its nose. Sadly, the game does describe it as a hook, but won't let you install it as a rod. Unfortunately, my lawyer advised against suing the writers for that oversight. You can develop your skill set as a fisherman even more to compensate for that loss of a perfectly good hook and step into the rock's footsteps by jungle cruising through the mangroves. Witness saltwater crocodiles, beautiful sunrises and fascinating flora, while big game hunting yourself to the top of the food chain. Just do not forget the wisest dogma guarded by generations of the Jedi Order. There is always a bigger fish. The only solution to this widely known abyssal rule of nature being unknown abyssal magic, you better be prepared to plunder a whole warlock civilization in your attempt to not drown when the old ones finally wake from their slumber in relay. You can even find the failures that tried walking this path before you, but don't let them know your game plan. They wanted to rise Cthulhu from the deep because they are fanatic dreamers. You want to rise Cthulhu from the deep so that you can sell the biggest squid there is, to finally beat your Uncle Bob in one of his fishing tournaments and pay off your student loans. Cthulhu is scary until he meets a Japanese sushi chef. Sometime in your journey, you will discover that your crab fishing industry will have grown to unsettling proportions, making you wonder who is the real monster of the sea. The native species of eldritch deep ones like Dagon and Papa Cthulhu, or the invasive capitalist tycoon decimating entire species via budget trap pods to earn $20 extra. No gods or old ones, only men. When you have your ancient magic ready, you can fire up the engines and float over to the Lovecraftian meet and greet. But if all this fancy hocus pocus should unsurprisingly fail you in a most dire moment, you will feel dumb. So I would advise on stocking up on more worldly solutions.
In selecting its battle plan, the Highway Division decided the carcass couldn't be buried because it might soon be uncovered. It couldn't be cut up and then buried because nobody wanted to cut it up, and it couldn't be burned. So dynamite it was, some 20 cases or a half ton of it.
As I steered into spoiler territory, and yes, this was your warning, the lighthouse keeper stopped me and persuaded me to do the right thing and throw away the summoning tome. And so, you too can offer your soul for the salvation of humanity. But sadly, I already sold my soul to the countless unread terms and conditions of various software. And since Jesus couldn't make it to the endgame, I backtracked to try it with Tentacle Daddy again. We all know that this is what you came for, you filthy hentai men. So here is my personal guide on summoning Cthulhu. Step 1. You drop some junk into the waves. Step 2. You wait for the neighbors to complain to you personally for trashing their space. Step 3. All that is left to do now is to open a can of beer and enjoy the scene, as the islands you had to tolerate for almost 20 hours sink beneath the waves like Atlantis. For a game that builds upon an age-old core mechanic and pressing F as if it was a cosplay of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Dredge can get you right into the Lovecraft mood. If you love yourself some Eldritch Harbor vibes, then you can definitely find fun here. If you do not need much action, this might be the experience for you. But be prepared that even the music will abandon you at times. Dredge is a real ambient game. Still, it fills its niche wonderfully, and therefore it gets the highest possible score and half of a recommendation, since I lost the other half, crushing into out of thin air appearing rocks. I had my fun with this game, I have to say. Lovecraftian harbor vibes, as I said, are really my kind of vibe, at least in the horror genre. I really love at the mountains of madness and the color out of space. Two of Lovecraft's best stories, in my humble opinion. And I do believe you can listen to them here on YouTube. So after the video ends, just go around and find out if you can dig them up and listen to them. And tell me in the comments what you think about them. They are really great. After all, the only thing I really care about is that I see you in the next one. And until then, I do hope you carry some hype for the next video with you. Please, we see each other. Goodbye, sailors.